Everybody loves to thank a veteran. It's a gesture of appreciation, a moment of recognition for their service and sacrifice. But they never ask what war does to a man. What invisible wounds do they carry? What burdens do they shoulder in silence? Combat doesn't just leave shrapnel in the body. It's not just about the physical scars that are visible to the eye. It rearranges your soul. It alters your perception, reshapes your emotions, and leaves an indelible mark on who you are. This isn't a sob story. It's raw truth. It's a glimpse into the reality that many veterans face, a story that needs to be told without sugarcoating or embellishment. Here's what combat stress really did to me, the lasting impact it had on my life, the challenges I continue to navigate, and the lessons I've learned along the way. Physically, the tangible ways my body responded to the trauma of war. Mentally, the battles fought within my own mind, the struggles with anxiety, depression, and the constant replay of traumatic events. Spiritually, the crisis of faith, the questioning of purpose, and the search for meaning in the aftermath of destruction. In war, bullets aren't the only things flying. There's a constant barrage of sensory overload, a relentless assault on your senses that leaves you perpetually on edge. So are emotions you're not ready for: grief, fear, anger, and a profound sense of loss that can overwhelm you in an instant. The real damage? The kind that lingers long after the physical wounds have healed. It comes after the gunfire, in the quiet moments when the adrenaline fades and the reality of what you've experienced sinks in. Nightmares. Vivid, terrifying replays of combat that shatter your sleep and leave you drenched in sweat. Adrenaline spikes in peaceful moments. A sudden noise, an unexpected touch, anything that triggers a memory and sends your body into fight or flight mode. The body flinches. The mind never relaxes. You're constantly on guard, waiting for the next threat, unable to truly let go and find peace. Your brain gets wired to survive, not live. Every decision, every action is filtered through the lens of survival, making it difficult to simply enjoy life. Combat ended overseas, but the war followed me home. It became an unwelcome companion, a shadow that lingered in every corner of my life. My body paid the price. The constant stress and trauma took a toll, leaving me physically exhausted and depleted. Sleep? Gone. A precious commodity stolen by nightmares and hypervigilance. Appetite? Shot. The simple pleasure of eating replaced by nausea and a lack of interest in food. Headaches, muscle tightness, constant reminders of the physical strain my body was under. Every day felt like my system was fighting ghosts, battling invisible enemies, reliving past traumas, and struggling to stay grounded in the present. You walk around like a machine that's always on edge, moving through life with a sense of detachment, going through the motions but never fully present. Heart racing in line at the grocery store. A simple everyday task transformed into a source of anxiety and overwhelm. Hyper-aware, never relaxed, always scanning, constantly assessing your surroundings for potential threats, unable to let your guard down. It's not bravery. It's survival mode on autopilot. A deeply ingrained response to trauma that takes over without conscious thought. My uniform came off, but my nervous system stayed deployed. The physical trappings of war may have been shed, but the internal state of alert remained. Combat didn't just steal my peace. It robbed me of the ability to find tranquility within myself. It made my own mind feel like the battlefield, a constant struggle against intrusive thoughts, painful memories, and overwhelming emotions. I'd forget simple things. Everyday details, appointments, and conversations would slip my mind. Zone out in conversations. My mind would drift away, leaving me disconnected from the people around me. Then blame myself for being weak. I internalized the stigma surrounding mental health and judged myself harshly for struggling. But it wasn't weakness. It was a natural response to extraordinary circumstances. It was the residue of trauma, the invisible wounds that lingered long after the physical ones had healed. The unspoken cost of serving a country that doesn't understand what it demands. The sacrifices made, the burdens carried, and the challenges faced upon returning home. You come back to a world that kept moving without you, a world that seems foreign and unfamiliar where you struggle to find your place. Friends don't get it. They can't comprehend what you've been through, and their attempts to relate often fall flat. Family avoids the hard conversations. They tiptoe around the topic of war, afraid to trigger painful memories or say the wrong thing. So you isolate, you withdraw from social interactions, preferring the solitude of your own company to the discomfort of being misunderstood. You smile at work. You put on a brave face and pretend that everything is okay, even when you're falling apart inside. You shake hands at church. You go through the motions of religious observance, but your heart feels empty and disconnected. But inside, the turmoil rages on, hidden beneath a carefully constructed facade. You're a shadow of who you were. The vibrant, carefree person you once were has been replaced by someone haunted by the past. No one sees the man who feels like a ghost. You feel invisible, as if you're walking through life unnoticed and unseen. You're in a room full of people, and still feel completely alone. Surrounded by others, yet utterly isolated in your own private hell. I wasn't quiet because I didn't care. My silence wasn't a sign of apathy, but a reflection of my inability to articulate the depth of my pain. I was quiet because no one knew the language of pain I spoke. The words to describe my experiences simply didn't exist in the common vernacular. There was a night I broke, a night when the weight of my trauma became too much to bear. Staring at the ceiling, I said, lost in the darkness of my despair, I reached out to something beyond myself. God, if you're real, say something. A desperate plea for guidance, for comfort, for any sign that I wasn't alone. And in that silence, a profound and unexpected shift occurred. I heard peace for the first time in years. A sense of calm washed over me, quieting the chaos within. It wasn't loud, it wasn't dramatic. There were no thunderous pronouncements or blinding light, but it was real, a tangible sense of hope and reassurance that resonated deep within my soul. God didn't remove the stress. The challenges and struggles remained. He gave me strength to fight it, the resilience and determination to confront my demons and reclaim my life. Therapy helped, providing me with the tools and strategies to process my trauma and develop healthy coping mechanisms. Faith sustained, offering a source of hope, comfort, and connection to something larger than myself. But honesty saved me, the courage to speak openly about my struggles, to break the silence and seek help. If you're a veteran watching this, if you recognize yourself in my story, you're not weak, you're not broken, your struggles don't define you. You're wounded, but worthy. You deserve love, respect, and the opportunity to heal. Combat stress doesn't make you a failure. It doesn't diminish your value or define your potential. It makes you human. It reminds you of your vulnerability, your capacity for pain, and your need for connection. And you don't have to carry it alone. There's a community of veterans who understand what you're going through and are ready to offer support. Speak up, break the silence, and share your story. Reach out. Connect with others who can offer guidance and support. Lean on your faith, your brothers, your voice. Find strength in your spiritual beliefs, your fellow veterans, and your own inner voice. Because silence kills, but truth heals. The more we talk about combat stress, the more we break down the stigma and create a path towards healing. If this message hit your soul, smash that like. Let me know that this resonated with you. Comment, still fighting, still healing. Share your own experiences and let others know they're not alone. And share this with a soldier, a veteran, a warrior who's silently battling. Help spread the message of hope and healing to those who need it most. Because combat changes you, but God can still carry you. Even in the darkest of times, there is always hope for healing and redemption. Let's stop hiding. Let's step out of the shadows and into the light. Let's start healing. Together, we can create a world where veterans feel supported, understood, and empowered to live full and meaningful lives.